Hey everyone, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a very big lineup of news to share with all of you today. Today's date is July 11th, 2025, and it's Friday. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Happy Friday to all of you out there, and I hope you're ready for your weekend. We're going to get right into the news. Lots to cover in today's update with this war, as we got reports that last night Ukraine fired around 150 drones into Russian territory. We have reports of multiple defense plants being hit, and also another one catching fire early this morning, possible sabotage by Ukraine at that location. Let's jump into this first report here on your screen. Ukraine attacks a Russian aircraft production plant in the Moscow region. The plant is involved in producing and modernizing MiG-29 and MiG-31 fighter jets, and is part of development projects for a promising frontline fighter based on that MiG platform. Yep, so we had this aircraft production plant reportedly being hit, according to Ukraine's general staff. They're confirming two strikes on separate defense plants, including this one that you see here on your screen. This is actually a picture coming out from that area in the Moscow region, as we had a direct hit on that facility. And this is allegedly showing a possible fire that could have broke out there in the distance right over that hilltop, as we had a drone smashing into this defense plant. We also have another report today that another defense plant has been hit in the Tula region, which is right next door to Moscow, which manufactures missiles for air defense systems. So that one also allegedly being hit. And we also have reports out of Russia's Orenburg region, which would be southeast of Tula and Moscow, probably about 1,000 or so kilometers into Russian territory, just north of the Kazakhstan border. We have another defense plant that reportedly broke out in a major fire, and this defense plant produces MLRS ammunition, for example, Grad missiles for the BM-21 launcher. Okay, so ammunition produced for Russia's military there, catching fire with this major defense plant. And then we also have some information today we're going to go over regarding Russian strikes in Ukraine. The city of Odessa and Kharkiv, both those cities in Ukraine, heavily attacked today. So we're going to go over some of those reports as well. Then numerous other things I want to show you guys today with this update. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. We're going to hop on over here to Bliskovka with X. Defense forces hit Russian aircraft factory and air defense missile manufacturing facility, according to Ukrainian Armed Forces General Staff. Thus, last night, the Lukhovitsky aviation plant, which assembles and tests MiG combat aircraft, was attacked. In addition, the Akademician Shupanov Instrumentation Design Bureau, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, which specializes in the manufacture of missiles for enemy air defense systems, was also hit. So yeah, two major facilities being hit by drones last night. This was a picture coming out showing a fire here that broke out after we had this direct strike on this aircraft production facility known as Lukhovitsky, if I'm saying that right. So yeah, that's just a picture coming out showing that it's confirmed has been hit last night by Ukraine's Armed Forces General Staff. Okay, so there's your official report today. Now, real quick, I'm going to hop on over here to this map to kind of show you guys where some of these strikes took place. I don't have the exact locations of all these hits, but we know the regions they were attacked in. So we're going to zoom in over here to the western side of Russia. We've got the Moscow region right here. This is where that aircraft production facility was being targeted, was in this region. Right next door to the south, we have the Tula region, where we had this other defense facility producing air defense equipment for Russia's military. And then just to the east over here, we have the Orenburg region, which is kind of this elongated region here just north of Kazakhstan. And over here in the city of Orsk is where this other mechanical plant that caught fire today. We had a major fire that broke out here at a facility, and this is the one producing Grad missiles, some sort of MLRS ammunition for Russia's military as well. Okay, so the city of Orsk is where we had that major fire today in the Orenburg region. Okay, so Orenburg, and then also we've got Tula and Moscow regions being heavily attacked overnight. Let's go and jump back on over to X now with Astra. Astra sources confirm attack on Lukhovitsky aircraft plant in Moscow region overnight. Wall of compressor station collapses. Sources at the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations confirmed to Astra that drones attacked the Lukhovitsky aircraft plant, named after P.A. Voronin, a branch of JSC Russian Aircraft Corporation MiG, around 1 a.m. on July 11th. At least 2 drones crashed on the plant's premises, damaging the facility's compressor station. One of the station's walls partially collapsed. Preliminary reports indicate no casualties. Astra noted that during the night of July 10th to the 11th, local residents widely reported powerful explosions and an attack on the plant and Lukhovitsky chat groups. Without specifying which facility was hit, later the Russian Ministry of Defense stated that 11 Ukrainian UAVs had been shot down over the Moscow region. Okay, so allegedly we had 2 hits on this facility. Finally, it states here, as Astra previously reported, a user in local motorist community posted a screenshot from a map and wrote, "I was driving here and an effing hit right above us." According to Astra's analysis, the location where the user allegedly heard the explosion was in the southeastern part of Lukhovitsky, near the village of Larino, along Route 46N-05249. Public data shows that the Lukhovitsky aircraft plant and oil depot are located in that same village. So I've got a video I can show you guys about 15 seconds long or so showing a direct strike on this facility. We got a picture of it as well. Let's go ahead and jump into this.
Короче, я сейчас проебал, я видел глазами уебок сторонний завод, такой уебок, прям пиздец, лютый уебок, вверх туда полетел. Блять, там уебало прям попало, блядь. Во, второй, на нахуй, на нахуй. Короче, я сейчас проебал.
All right, so just a quick clip, and we can't really see too much. I understand it's very dark, but it's unfortunately the only video that I've got coming out from this area. Somebody's sitting here chatting and recording. They probably heard explosions. There you go, bam, one of these drones slamming into that plant there. And according to Astra today, who's a pretty reliable source out of Russia, they're indicating that it took 2 direct hits from drones. So here's a picture of this facility also, pretty massive facility that is producing aircraft for the MiG platform. Okay, so direct hits on this facility today. Now from Lukhovka, fire broke out to the mechanical plant in Orsk, Russia. Russian mass media reports. The 8th workshop is on fire. The building was covered with a net to protect against UAVs. Sabotage has been officially declared. The Orsk plant produces cartridges, components for MLRS, and as well as equipment for the oil and gas and civilian sectors. Okay, so dual purpose use here with this facility, producing for oil and gas for civilian sectors, but on top of that, they're also producing equipment for MLRS launchers that Russia uses, like the Grad system, to fire missiles into Ukraine. So here's a video of somebody driving down the street, and there's a massive fire here at this mechanical plant. Take a look. All right, so lots of smoke filling the area here in the city of Orsk in the Orenburg region of Russia, very close to the Kazakhstan border again. And it looks like somebody decided to light this facility on fire and try to potentially destroy it. And according to this report, it has been declared as a sabotage here at this facility. So another major hit. As far as I know, wasn't drones going over here. We didn't have any reports going into the Orenburg region in terms of drones, but we have seen drones over here before just a couple weeks back. So major hit there also. Now for Max 25, he says Kursk. Okay, now I've got a video that I want to show you guys. This video broke yesterday, and it actually came out from late into the evening over in the Kursk region of Russia. And we had a drone, most likely coming from Ukraine, that probably smashed into a building, and we've got fragments of this drone just flying all over the place. Pretty insane video. We're going to watch this real quick. All right, we'll go ahead and pause it there. That's pretty much the end of the video, but yeah, pretty insane, right? We just see these fragments of this drone just flying all over the place. Looks like it started a fire right here in somebody's backyard also. And I'm not sure what this drone was going after. Did it hit its target or was it shot down? Seems like it may have hit its target and exploded. We had debris flying all over the place. So pretty insane video. Just wanted to pull that up real quick. Now from Visioner, this is exactly what Zelensky was talking about just minutes ago at the ongoing Ukraine Recovery Conference in Rome. The footage shows the Ukrainian interceptor drone Sky Russo Ripper, which is already being used to destroy Shahed-type kamikaze drones launched by the occupiers. Its development began approximately 6 months ago, and now its production is being ramped up in response to the intensification of Russian air attacks. So, yeah, I pulled up this video also to show you guys. This information coming out yesterday after the conference that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was at, and he was talking about how they have interceptor drones now. And look, there's no missile or nothing going after this drone. There's actually an interceptor that's going through the skies to bring this thing down. It's a small little drone that they've been producing. Right now, we know Ukraine is also working with an American defense company to mass produce these as well. And this is also why the Ukrainians are getting so good at shooting down Russian drones. They're using these interceptors and they're becoming very successful, just as you see there in the video. So pretty cool to see that. Now for Lukhovitsky, at least 8 people were injured in a daytime attack in Odessa. The city council reports civil infrastructure, residential and administrative buildings, stables, and cars were damaged. Yeah, we had massive attacks inside of Ukraine today. The city of Odessa and Kharkiv reportedly being hit very hard. I think it was mostly drones, but we could have had some missiles being fired as well. So we're going to go over some of these reports here. So from Lukhovitsky, the number of victims in Odessa has risen to 11, according to SES. A fire broke out, a service station building and residential buildings were damaged. A horse was killed. Yeah, very sad, guys. Here's a report here. Some pictures of a horse that was unfortunately injured in these strikes. We had multiple buildings being damaged and destroyed, people being injured over here as well. 11 people so far being injured in these attacks in the city of Odessa down in southern Ukraine. And it's a city that's reportedly being attacked multiple times a week. And I've been showing you guys lots of information coming out from here recently. Many people being injured and unfortunately even animals too being hit. Now for Lukhovitsky, the first footage from the scene of Russian shelling in Odessa, reports local media. So here's the first video coming out after the shelling here in the city of Odessa in southern Ukraine. Take a look at this. All right, so lots of damage to civilian infrastructure over here in the city of Odessa. We can see in this video after these strikes from the Russians, again, most likely from Shahed drones. Here's a direct hit there on that building. Lots of damage here inside the city of Odessa today. So very sad to report. Let's move on to another one. Max 25, Zelensky. 9 people were injured in a drone attack in Kharkiv. Among the injured are women in a maternity hospital. At night, they also struck in the Dnipro, Mykolaiv, and Sumy regions. In the morning, they attacked the Odessa region. There's no silence in Ukraine. Constant Russian strikes with drones, missiles, and aerial bombs. This is why it is very important to implement everything that was agreed upon with partners these days in Italy as soon as possible. Yeah, it was a major meeting yesterday in Italy, in Rome, as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky attended that conference, the Ukraine Recovery Conference. So they're getting lots of support right now from Europe and also from the U.S. I've got some major statements from Trump today as well. I think next week is going to be a very big week. These were damages inside of Kharkiv today as well. This is up in northeastern Ukraine, close to the border of Russia's Belgorod region. Okay, and you got firefighters here putting out the flames from multiple fires that broke out due to Russian strikes. Now for Lukhovitsky, the first minutes after the morning Russian strikes on Kharkiv. Here's a video also to show you guys out of Kharkiv today. Damages over here from Russian drones. All right, so yet again, the city of Kharkiv under attack from Russian drones as well. We can see somebody's home here blown out there from these drones smashing into that building. So yet again, more strikes here on the city of Kharkiv. Very sad to have to report. Let's move on to another one from Max 25, AN-124-100 cargo plane over Kiev today. Yeah, this is a sight we don't typically see inside of Ukraine, and reportedly this was over Kiev. We had a transport plane here just flying right above the capital. And from what I heard from this, it entered into Ukraine and then it turned back around and went back into Poland. Not sure what this thing was transporting, but it was probably transporting some sort of critical military equipment into Ukraine. And again, like I said, there's going to be a lot of major reports coming out next week. And after I show you some of this information right now coming up, we're going to be seeing some major developments in this war. And could we possibly see an end to this war here very soon? We'll see what happens. Now, moving on to Kiev Post. Trump teases a major statement on Russia coming Monday and warns of a very biting sanctions bill in the works. Senate expected to pass it soon. Big moves ahead. Yeah, so we've been hearing about this bill through the Senate. If it gets passed through Congress, it's going to force 500% secondary tariffs onto Russia. We're hearing that maybe by the end of the month, the Senate might pick up a vote for this, possibly even the House as well, and it might get passed. We'll see what happens with that. But Trump saying today that he's going to make a major statement about Russia on Monday. So what is that statement going to be? We've been hearing recently that he's not very happy with Vladimir Putin, not happy with Russia's actions onto Ukraine, that Ukraine's just being battered right now. He's been stating that they're sending weapons over to Ukraine again. And I have a feeling something big is coming next week in regards to this war. And I think Trump's going to make a major push to try to end it. We'll see what happens. Now from Ozen Defenders. Speaking during an interview tonight with NBC News, U.S. President Donald J. Trump stated that he is disappointed in Russia regarding ongoing negotiations with and continued attacks against civilians in Ukraine, adding, "I think I'll have a major statement to make on Russia on Monday." President Trump also appeared to confirm reports that the U.S. is preparing to sell additional weaponry to NATO under the assumption that it will be provided to Ukraine, with him stating, "We're sending weapons to NATO, and NATO is paying for those weapons 100%. So what we're doing is the weapons that are going out are going to NATO, and then NATO is going to be giving those weapons to Ukraine, and NATO is paying for those weapons," adding that the deal was agreed upon during the most recent NATO summit. Okay, so this is very good news to hear. We continue to hear that this talk between Zelensky and Trump at the last NATO summit, I think it was the end of June, at The Hague, that it reportedly went very well. Zelensky was actually stating that during the time, I believe. He was saying that the talks between Trump and himself went very good, and they agreed upon multiple different things. They agreed on some weapon supplies over to Ukraine. So it looks like the U.S. is going to be selling weapons over to NATO here very soon, to NATO nations in Europe, and then they're going to be transferring those equipments to Ukraine. Okay, and we heard yesterday as well that Germany might be buying 2 Patriot systems from the U.S., possibly even Norway purchasing one as well, and they're planning to transfer those to Ukraine. We'll see if that happens to be the case, but it looks like lots of weapons are going to be flowing into Ukraine here very soon. Now from Max 25, Trump on Russian attacks on Ukraine. "You'll be seeing things happening." Yeah, this is what he stated to reporters today. He was about to take off from the White House, and a reporter asked him, what is his response to all these strikes on Ukrainian civilians recently, because Russia's been bombarding Ukraine like crazy over the last few days. And he basically said, you'll be seeing things happening coming up very soon. So I'm assuming by next week, we should see some real movement here in possibly in the direction of ending this war. We'll see what happens coming next week, but we're expected a major statement from Trump on Monday. Now look at this from next to White House Special Envoy Keith Kellogg to visit Ukraine. Will stay for a week. Former general and advisor to Donald Trump, Keith Kellogg, now serving as a special envoy of the White House, will arrive in Kiev on Monday. He told reporters he plans to spend an entire week in Ukraine. Notably, his visit coincides with Trump's announcement of an important statement on Russia scheduled for the same day. The timing suggests the two events may be connected, possibly signaling a shift in the White House's stance on the war in Ukraine. Yeah, so on top of that, we've got Keith Kellogg here, the special envoy that's tasked with negotiating, between Ukraine and Russia on behalf of the United States. He's going to be showing up in Kiev on Monday as well, and he's staying for an entire week. So this really makes me think that there's going to be some major developments coming out from this war next week. And with Trump making this major statement, what is he going to be talking about? I'm sure the U.S. is going to do something to pressure Russia into negotiating with Ukraine. Maybe we're going to get like a last-ditch ultimatum or something. I don't know what's going to happen, but let me know what you guys think. But this is big, the fact that Keith Kellogg is going to be there for an entire week inside of Kiev in Ukraine. Now from next, a ceasefire with Russia is possible long before the end of the year, and cessation of hostilities could happen in the coming months, said the head of Ukraine's Military Intelligence Directorate, Kirill Budanov, in an interview with Bloomberg. Other statements he made: the U.S. will continue to support Ukraine in the foreseeable future. Trump's position is consistent, and he should not be judged by the media's portrayal As the head of the intelligence service, I know more. A ceasefire should be achieved as soon as possible, long before the end of this year. Russia will not be able to fully capture Donetsk region by the end of this year. Russia intends to advance 10 kilometers into the Dnipropetrovsk region. Currently, up to 40% of Russia's ammunition comes from North Korea. So, yeah, these were statements from him today. He was actually in an interview with Bloomberg, and here's the report. Ukraine spy chief says 40% of Russian ammunition is North Korean. Isn't that crazy how reliant they are on North Korea that they can't even completely fight this war on their own? And imagine if the North Koreans weren't helping them out with all that ammunition. Would they be able to continue fighting? So, pretty insane news there. And just some other statements he's talking about here on the front line. Russia's not going to be able to capture Donetsk region by the end of the year. They're trying to push into the Dnipropetrovsk region. We've been hearing about that. That's just beyond the region of Donetsk. Lots of talk about a ceasefire here, and he's also talking about the fact that Trump's position is consistent, and no one should really be judging him because he's got all the real details behind what the media is reporting. So maybe this is in regards to Trump halting aid supplies over to Ukraine and whatnot. Maybe that's all just talk. Maybe it's not actually going on behind the scenes. Is kind of what the way that I see that. And maybe Trump stands with Ukraine a lot more than the way the media portrays it to be. But you guys can let me know what you think. Because, I mean, we've seen a lot of statements coming out from Trump over the past months, ever since he got into office, that it really seems like in some ways he stands with Russia. But right now, it looks like he's very unhappy with the Russians. So let me know what you think on those statements there. Now from Vicegrad 24, Russia's only aircraft carrier, Admiral Kuznetsov, may be scrapped for metal. The cruiser has been under repair since 2017 and has faced a series of mishaps. In 2018, Russia's largest floating dock sank, and in 2019, a major fire broke out on board. Modernization work has been delayed and accompanied by constant technical and organizational problems. Repairs and modernization of the ship have now been suspended, and the Ministry of Defense is seriously considering removing it from the Navy, dismantling it, and scrapping it. Okay, so this is bad news for Russia. Their only aircraft carrier possibly going to be scrapped here very soon, and they're no longer going to be using this thing as it looks like it's falling apart, having a lot of issues, and it probably is not even worth keeping it in service anymore. So that's very big, okay? Their only aircraft carrier they're possibly not going to have anymore. Let me know what you think on that. Now for Max 25, Ukraine is developing interceptors for Kinzhal and Zircon missiles, says Deputy Head of the OP Palisa. Okay, this is very good news because these Kinzhal hypersonic missiles are very hard to shoot down, and it looks like Ukraine is developing interceptors to be able to take these out. So very good news there as well. We've been seeing a lot of MiG-31Ks like what you see here that have been firing these into Ukraine recently, and a lot of times they're not shot down. They take direct hits from these missiles in Ukraine. Now for Null Reports, Russian military channels reports Ukraine is nearing final development and production of the HRIM-2 ballistic missile comparable to ATACMS. It is reportedly has a 200 to 500 kilometer range, 100 to 350 kilogram warheads, and speeds up to 3,000 meters per second, a major step in Ukraine's strike capability. All right, we've been reporting this several times for multiple weeks now. This is also known as the Sapsan ballistic missile, okay? And the Ukrainians have been working on this for a long time, and allegedly it's going to be ready to go here very soon, okay? It's nearing final development and production. And what we've been hearing, I think also the missiles for these are already in serial production right now, and they're going to start mass producing a lot of these launchers. Imagine very soon, okay? This has got a range of 200 to 500 kilometers. That could definitely strike Moscow if they really wanted to. So it looks like we could be seeing ballistic missiles coming from Ukraine here very soon, produced in their own nation, by the way. And they're going to be using these to strike targets directly inside of Russian territory, and they won't need anybody's approval because they're producing these inside their own nation. So very big news. Now from next, New York Times reports SBU Colonel Voronich, killed yesterday in Kiev, played an important role in the offensive on the Kursk region. He also led the group that eliminated one of the key leaders of pro-Russian separatists, Arseny Pavlov, also known as Motorola. So this is a report from New York Times. Ukraine intelligence officer is shot to death in Kiev parking lot. Yeah, this was the report I gave you guys yesterday. There was a video that was actually recorded. There was like a security camera that caught this act. Somebody came and actually eliminated him, assassinated this SBU colonel, okay, part of Ukraine's security service. And yeah, allegedly he played an important role in the offensive on the Kursk region, which was launched last year in August of 2024. and was widely successful up into the point where a couple months ago we started to hear that Ukraine had to pull out of there. They weren't able to hold on anymore. But last I knew, they're still fighting and carrying out offensives there in the Kursk region. So yeah, there's just a report and update today on some of the details regarding this SBU colonel that was assassinated yesterday. Now from Max 25, Russian air defense opened fire on passenger plane Minsk-Moscow was the name of it, according to Nevzorov. The plane could be confused with the Ukrainian drone Panzer air defense system mistakenly fired at a passenger plane which suffered minor damage. The crew successfully landed the plane. So that's very scary news. I can't imagine flying inside of Moscow. I mean, this is an absolute war zone with all these drones going into Russia all the time. Allegedly, we had a passenger plane that was mistaken for a Ukrainian drone, possibly almost being shot down, suffering minor damage, and thankfully was able to land. It probably had passengers on board as well. And this is multiple times we've heard reports like this, okay? It reminds me of the MH17, the Malaysian Airlines that was shot down. It had 290 people aboard, and they were all killed in the Donetsk region of Ukraine years ago, back in 2014. We also had a report of another airlines coming from Azerbaijan at one point that was shot down over Grozny and Chechnya in southwestern Russia. The Russians allegedly shot that thing down and it crashed over in Kazakhstan. Now we have this other plane being targeted as well from a Panzer S-1 air defense system. So crazy news coming out from Russia. I can't imagine flying over here. It's got to be incredibly dangerous, yet they're keeping the skies open while drones are constantly flying into Russia almost every day. Now for Max 25, Ukrainian air defense eliminated 60 out of 79 Russian drones, including 44 shot down and 16 suppressed by electronic warfare. So here's your daily update, okay? Total of 79 drones going into Ukraine overnight, and looks like they shot down a good majority, 60 out of 79. We've been seeing that consistently, so very good news there. Now from Kiev Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of July 11th, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In our final update of the day, Russia's losses as of July 11th, 1,040 troops, 7 AFVs, 76 vehicles and fuel tanks, 2 tanks, 23 artillery systems, 222 UAVs, and 14 cruise missiles. Okay, so very low numbers today across the board. UAVs and cruise missiles, these were all the ones being shot down yesterday after Russia launched a massive attack onto Ukraine again, especially the capital of Kiev. But artillery systems, very low, still only at 20. Tanks, AFVs, low numbers, 2 here, 7 for AFVs. 76 vehicles and fuel tanks, about average what we've been seeing. Same thing with troop losses, okay? We've still been seeing right around 1,000 per day that Russia's losing. And we had a report yesterday. Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, was reporting that the Russians have lost 100,000 troops just this year, okay? Those are deaths. Those are not injured troops in war. Those are actual people being killed. And that's crazy if that happens to be true. I mean, 100,000 losses of Russia's soldiers in 1 year is pretty massive compared to 1 million. These are just casualties. This is including people being injured over the last 3 years. So massive news that came out yesterday. Just wanted to share some updates with you guys here today. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in for this update on July 11th, 2025 on Friday. And guys, I hope you all have a wonderful day today and enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.